The bird in that listing is not what you think it is. And in the next 60 seconds, I am going to prove it. 90% of the Black Australorps being sold online right now are not real Black Australorps. They are crossbreeds. They are hatchery rejects. They are mixed flock birds with black feathers and a fancy label slapped on the listing. And if you bought one thinking you were getting the breed that laid 364 eggs in 365 days, the breed that never stops producing, rarely gets sick, and can feed your family for years, you probably already know something is off. Your egg count is low. Your bird looks different from what you expected. And you have no idea why. Stop scrolling. Stop guessing. Because what I am about to share in the next few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars and years of frustration. This is the information the hatcheries and resellers have been quietly hoping never goes public. It is not your fault. The problem is not your setup, your feed, or your management. The problem is you were sold the wrong bird, and the people selling them are counting on the fact that most backyard keepers do not know how to tell the difference. Today I am going to show you exactly how to identify a real Black Australorp from a fake, where the genuine birds actually come from, who is selling the real ones, and why this one decision will determine whether your flock feeds your family or drains your wallet for years. Stay to the end, because the last 2 minutes of this video contains sourcing information that most people will never find, and it could be the single most valuable thing you watch this year. Let us get into it. Here is what is actually happening out there right now. You go online. You search Black Australorp chicks for sale. You find a listing with a nice photo, a decent price, maybe $5 or $10 a bird. You order 6 or 8 of them. They arrive. They are cute. They are black. You raise them for 5 or 6 months waiting for that first egg. And then reality hits. Instead of 250 to 300 eggs per year, you are getting maybe 150. Maybe 180 on a good year. The birds are smaller than they should be. Some of them have brown feathers sneaking in around the neck. The legs look a little too yellow. The temperament is all wrong, flighty, nervous, crashing into the walls of the coop every time you walk in. You spent $80 to $120 on chicks. Another $200 to $400 on the coop. Feed is running you $25 to $40 a month. And you are still buying egg from the grocery store at $5, $6, sometimes $7 a dozen. That is not a homestead. That is a hobby with a negative return. And the worst part? The sellers know exactly what they are doing. They buy bulk chicks from commercial hatcheries that prioritize volume over genetics. They photograph them in bad lighting so you cannot see the feather quality. They use the words Black Australorp because that name sells. Meanwhile, the real birds, the ones descended from the lines that actually set world records, are out there. They exist, but they are not where most people are looking. Here is the part that should stop you cold. Every single month you are running the wrong birds. You are losing 50 to 100 eggs per bird that you will never get back. That is money gone forever. That is grocery store dependence that did not have to be yours. We are going to fix that right now. I got hundreds of comments on my last video from people asking one question over and over. Where do I actually find these birds? From the United States, from the UK, from South Africa, from all over. And when I started digging into what people were actually being sold versus what they thought they were buying, I realized this was a much bigger problem than I expected. The gap between a real Black Australorp and a fake one is not just cosmetic. It is 50 to 100 eggs per year. It is a difference between a flock that pays for itself in 7 months and one that never breaks even. That gap costs you real money every single year you own those birds. Here is something most people do not know about this breed. The Black Australorp was not created by a corporation. It was not designed in a lab. It was built by Australian farmers over decades of careful, intentional breeding. They took Black Orpingtons from England and crossed them with Rhode Island Reds, Minorcas, White Leghorns, and Langshans. Generation after generation, they selected for one thing above everything else: egg production. By 1922, a team of 6 Black Australorp hens averaged 309 eggs per bird in a single year at an official Australian testing station. One hen from that line went on to lay 364 eggs in 365 days. No hormones, no artificial lighting programs, no synthetic feed additives, just genetics and good management. That record still stands over 100 years later. No naturally raised heritage breed has matched it. And then the commercial poultry industry happened. After World War II, factory farming needed a different kind of bird. They needed chickens that could be packed into cages by the thousands, pushed to produce on a single cheap feed formula, and replace the moment production dipped. The white leghorn and hybrid sex lynx took over. Those birds lay hard for about 18 months, and then they burn out. You throw them away and buy more. That model is incredibly profitable for the industry. For you, the person trying to build something that actually sustains your family, it is a trap. The Black Australorp was quietly pushed to the side. Not because it stopped performing, because it did not fit a system designed to keep you buying. The knowledge of how to find these birds, how to identify the real genetics, and how to raise them for maximum production, that knowledge did not disappear. It just stopped being common. The serious breeders still have it. The old farming families still practice it. And today I am pulling it back into the open for you. If you are serious about building a flock that actually feeds your family and pays for itself, hit subscribe and turn on the bell right now, because what I'm about to share is sourcing information that took me months to put together. You do not want to miss a single part of this. Item 1. The Fake Bird Test. How to identify a real Black Australorp in 60 seconds. Before you spend a single dollar on any bird, you need to know what you are looking at. A real Black Australorp has jet black feathers. Every single one. And here is the test most people miss. In direct sunlight, those feathers shimmer with a vivid beetle green iridescence, sometimes hints of purple. That sheen comes from the structural properties of the feather itself. It cannot be faked. It cannot be bred into a crossbreed. A fake will have flat, dull black. Some will show brown or rust creeping in around the neck and chest. Any brown, red, white, or rust anywhere on the bird, walk away immediately. Check the legs. They should be black or very dark slate gray with white or pinkish white soles. Yellow legs mean Leghorn or Plymouth Rock blood got mixed in. That bird will not produce like a purebred. Check the eyes. Dark brown, almost black. If you see light amber or orange, that is crossbreeding. Lift a feather and look at the skin. It should be white, not yellow. Yellow skin is another dead giveaway. And here is one most people never think about. Temperament. A real Black Australorp is genuinely calm. It does not panic when you reach into the coop. If the birds you are looking at scatter wildly every time a human gets close, that nervous energy is telling you something. Those are not purebred Australorps. I put together a complete visual checklist with photos covering every single one of these identification markers in my Black Australorp sourcing guide. It makes it simple. You pull it up on your phone, walk up to any seller, and check every box before you hand over money. Link is in the description. Item 2. Source 1. Small independent breeders. The gold standard. This is where the best Black Australorps on the planet come from. Not hatcheries. Not feed stores. Small independent breeders. These are people who have been selecting for egg production, temperament, body conformation, and breed purity every single generation. Some of them only have 20 or 30 chicks available per season. They track laying records. They cull birds that underperform. They know exactly which rooster produce which chicks. The difference between a hatchery bird and one from a serious breeder can be 50 to 80 eggs per bird. That is not a small number. Over 5 years, that gap adds up to 250 to 400 eggs you either got or you did not. The problem is finding them. They do not run ads. They do not show up on the first page of Google. You find them through poultry shows, county fairs, the Livestock Conservancy Breeder Directory, and the Backyard Chickens Forum. In Australia, the Australorp Club of Australia maintains an official breeder directory. In the UK, the Rare Poultry Society keeps breeder listings. In South Africa, there are reputable sources like Sovereign Hatchery. And across sub-Saharan Africa, local agricultural development centers sometimes maintain purebred flocks. I spent weeks compiling verified breeder contacts across multiple regions and put them all in one place. We will get to that. Item 3. Source 2. Large commercial hatcheries. Buyer beware. Let me be clear. Hatcheries are not evil. Some of them are reputable operations. But their priority is volume. They are shipping thousands of chicks a week. Genetic purity is not their top concern. A hatchery-grade Black Australorp will typically produce 180 to 240 eggs per year. That is still a decent bird, but it is not the 250 to 300 you are chasing if you want a flock that truly replaces a grocery store. Names you will see include Mayer's Hatchery in Ohio, Cackle Hatchery in Missouri, Murray McMurray in Iowa, and Purely Poultry in Wisconsin. These are known operations. They have been around for years. But here's what you need to understand. When you order from a hatchery, you are getting hatchery-grade. That is a tier below what a dedicated breeder produces. The real risk with hatcheries is not the hatchery itself. It is the feed stores and resellers who buy from them in bulk and then mark up the price without telling you the source bloodline. You pay $15 for a bird the feed store bought for $4 and you have no idea what genetics you actually got. If you go the hatchery route, order direct, ask questions, and use that identification checklist I mentioned to verify what arrives. Item 4. Source 3. Online marketplaces. The Wild West. Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, local buy and sell groups. This is where the 90% fake number comes from. Genuine breeders and completely mislabeled stock sit side by side. There is no verification, no quality control. Anyone with black chickens and a phone can list them as purebred Black Australorps tonight and have your money by tomorrow. Never buy from an online marketplace without seeing clear photos of the adult birds in direct sunlight. You need to see that green iridescence. You need photos of the parent flock, not just the chicks. And you need real answers to real questions. Ask them this. Are these birds purebred or hatchery grade? What is the average egg production of your hens per year? Have they been vaccinated for Marek's disease? Can I see the parents? How long have you been breeding Black Australorp specifically? Do you call for production? If the seller gets defensive, cannot produce parents, does not track laying records, or prices a bird suspiciously low under $5 per chick, keep walking. Quality purebred chicks run $5 to $15 each. If someone is selling them for $2 or $3, those are not purebred birds. I documented every single red flag and green flag to look for when buying from any source, online or in person. It is all in the guide. Having it on your phone when you show up to a seller changes everything. Item 5. Chicks, pullets, or laying hens. What should you actually buy? This decision changes your timeline, your cost, and your risk level completely. Day-old chicks run $5 to $15 each. You control everything from the start. Nutrition, environment, stress levels. They grow up knowing your voice. But you wait 5 to 6 months for the first egg, and you have to manage the brooder stage. That means 9 to 5 degrees the first week, dropping 5 degrees each week until they feather out around week 6. Pullets at 16 to 18 weeks cost $15 to $35 each. Brooder stage is behind you. You skip the highest mortality window and the bird is old enough that you can verify breed identity using the physical markers I just covered. Time to first egg is 4 to 6 weeks. This is my recommendation for most people. Laying hens at 24 weeks or older cost $25 to $60 each. Eggs within days. But age matters enormously. Peak production is years 1 through 3. A 4-year-old hen drops to 180 to 200 eggs. A 5-year-old, maybe 150. Always ask the age. If the seller cannot tell you, that is a problem. For a family flock, 6 hens is a sweet spot. That gives you 1,500 to 1,800 eggs per year at peak. 125 to 150 eggs every single month. A family of 4 uses 7 to 5. You are covered with surplus to sell, trade, or gift. I broke down the full cost comparison for all 3 options with exact dollar amounts in the guide. It takes the guesswork out completely. Item 6. The 5 questions that separate a real breeder from a scammer. You can find the right source and still get burned if you do not ask the right questions. These 5 questions will protect you every single time. Number 1. Are these birds purebred Black Australorps or hatchery grade? A real breeder knows the difference and will answer directly. Number 2. What is the average annual egg production of your hens? You want to hear 250 to 300. If they cannot give you a number, they are not tracking production, which means they are not selecting for it. Number 3. Have these birds been vaccinated for Marek's disease? This is non-negotiable. Marek's is a herpes virus that causes tumor paralysis and death. The vaccine is 95% effective but must be given on the day of hatch. There is no treatment after infection. Number 4. Can I see the parent birds? A serious breeder will walk you over to the rooster and hens that produce the chicks you are buying. If they hesitate or make excuses, leave. Number 5. How long have you been breeding Black Australorp specifically? Experience matters. Someone who has been refining their line for 5 or 10 years is producing fundamentally different birds than someone who bought their first flock last spring. These 5 questions are worth more than any price comparison. Ask them every single time. Item 7. Breeding your own chickens. The forever flock. 1 good rooster. 6 good hens. That is all you need to never purchase another chicken for the rest of your life. Black Australorps go broody more reliably than most production breeds. A broody hen maintains 99.5 degrees with her own body, turns the eggs herself, manages a hatch, and raises the chicks. No incubator, no electricity, no equipment cost. 1 rooster covers 8 to 10 hens. Every spring you let a broody hen sit on 10 to 12 fertile eggs. 21 days later you have chicks. By summer they are growing into pullets. By autumn they are approaching laying age. By winter the new girls are producing while the older hens finish their molt and resume. After 1 full cycle, every bird on your property was hatched on your property. Your flock replaces itself forever. The key is selecting your breeding stock carefully. Track production. The hens that consistently lay the most are your breeders. The hens at the bottom of your records do not contribute to the next generation. That is exactly the practice that produced the 364 egg world record. Ruthless selection for production. Item 8. The 3 mistakes that cost people the most money. Mistake number 1. Buying on price alone. A $3 chick is cheap for a reason. Quality purebred Black Australorp chicks cost $5 to $15 each. That extra money buys you genetics that produce 50 to 100 more eggs per year for 3 to 5 years. The cheap bird costs you more in the long run every single time. Mistake number 2. Skipping quarantine. You find beautiful birds from a great source. You bring them home and put them straight into your existing coop. 3 weeks later, half your coop has respiratory symptoms. Any new bird, no matter how healthy it looks, gets isolated for a minimum of 30 days before joining your flock. 1 sick bird can devastate everything you have built. Mistake number 3. Not verifying in sunlight. Photos indoors mean nothing. Black feathers all look the same under artificial light. You need to see those birds outside in direct sunlight. That green-purple iridescence is your proof of real genetics. If a seller will not let you see the birds in natural light, that tells you everything you need to know. Every one of these mistakes is avoidable, and every one of them is covered in detail in the guide with exactly what to do instead. Now picture this. A year from now, you walk out to your coop every morning and collect 5 or 6 warm eggs. Your family is fed. Your grocery bill dropped by $375 a year or more. You have surplus eggs to sell at $5 a dozen, to trade with neighbors, or to give away and build goodwill in your community. Your birds are healthy because you started with real genetics. They are producing consistently because you set them up right from day one. And next spring, one of your hens goes broody, sits on a dozen eggs, and hatches your next generation without you spending another cent. No more hatchery orders. No more gambling on online listings. No more wondering if you got the real thing. By year 5, the math is undeniable. Your flock has produced over 8,000 eggs. Your total cost is roughly $1,500. The value of those eggs is over $3,400. You are nearly $1,900 ahead. And that is before counting the fertilizer, the pest control, and the fact that your kids learn where real food comes from. That is what the right birds and the right knowledge give you. Now here's what I want to know from you. Drop a comment right now and tell me where you are located and whether you have been able to find real Black Australorps in your area. I read every single comment, and I may be able to point you in the right direction. And if you are serious about doing this right, about finding the real birds, avoiding the fakes, and building a flock that feeds your family for years, I put everything into one guide. The complete identification checklist, verified sourcing contacts across the United States, UK, Australia, South Africa, and more, the breeder questions, the cost breakdowns, the breeding calendar, everything you need before you spend $1. It is $9.99. The link is in the description. Less than 2 dozen grocery store eggs, and it could save you hundreds. Before you go, I need to say this directly and I need you to hear it. Right now, as you watch this video, there are growers in your region who already found the right birds. They are not scrolling listings wondering if the feathers look right. They are not calculating why their egg counts are low. They are collecting 250 to 300 eggs per hen every single year, covering their grocery bill, and building a self-sustaining flock that will outlast their mortgage. Those growers did not have access to anything you do not have access to right now. They just acted sooner. Every week that passes without the right birds in your coop is another week your grocery bill stays high. Another week someone else profits from your confusion. Another season you cannot get back. The people who subscribe to Livestock Lab right now are going to be the ones who get the next video the moment it drops. And that next video is the one that takes everything you learned today and turns it into a full production system. Feed schedules, lighting protocols, coop setup, the molt management strategy that keeps your hen producing through winter when everyone else's flock goes quiet. That information is coming, but only the growers who are subscribed will be there for it. If you are not subscribed, you are gambling that you will remember to come back. And by the time you do, the growers who are already here will be 6 months ahead of you with better birds, better production, and better numbers. That gap compounds every single season. Do not let that be you. Hit subscribe right now and turn on the bell notification. Every new video on this channel goes directly to your feed the moment it is live. No algorithm guessing. No hoping it shows up. You get it first, every time. Hit the like button if this gave you something real before you click play today. Drop your location in the comments. I read everyone and I will point you toward the best sources in your area. And share this with one person in your homesteading community who is still running the wrong birds. You might just save them a year of frustration and a few $100s. This is Livestock Labs. This is where serious growers come to build something real.